So this week we did chapter 14 and chapter 15. Chapter 14 is on intellectual property. Intellectual property is laws that protect property um, that is primarily the result of mental creativity rather than physical effort. They're categorized as trademarks, patents, and trade secrets. A trademark is a distinctive mark, word, design, picture, or arrangement used by the producer. It enables consumers to identify the products with the producer. It must be registered by the U.S. Patent Office. To register a trademark, a person has to submit a drawing of the mark and indicate when it was first used in interstate commerce and how it was used. The types of marks that are protected under the Lanham Act are the product trademark, service marks, collective marks, and certification marks. Trade dress is the overall appearance and image of a product that has acquired secondary meaning. It's entitled to the same protection as a trademark. I talked about the Federal Trademark Dilution Act of 1995, which provided trademark protection at the federal level. A patent grants the holder the exclusive right to produce, sell, and use a product, process, or invention, a machine, or asexually reproduced plant for 20 years. The criteria: the object must be novel, useful, and non-obvious. Patents are licensed in exchange for the payment of royalties, which are the sum of money paid for each use of patented processes. Some common illegal patent-related activities are tying arrangements and cross-licensing. A trade secret is a process, product, method of operation, or a compilation of information used in a business unknown to the public. It gives the business a competitive advantage, and it's protected by common law from unlawful appropriation. As long as it is kept secret, it must comprise elements not generally known in the trade. The Economic Espionage Act, Section 1832. An individual who misappropriates a trade secret is subject to a prison term up to 10 years. Copyrights are the exclusive legal right to reproduce, publish, and sell the fixed form of an expression of an original creative idea. A copyrighted idea reproduced with the appropriate notice affixed is protected for the life of its creator plus 70 years, and then 95 years after the date of publication, or 120 years after creation in case of a publisher. The criteria for a copyright is a fixed form, it's original and creative. Registration of a copyright requires filing a form with the Register of Copyright and providing 2 copies of the copyrighted materials to the Library of Congress. Talk about the Fair Use Doctrine. It provides a portion of a copyrighted work may be reproduced for purposes of criticism, comment, news, reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Talk about copyrights in the digital age. The No Electronic Theft Act of 1997. The Digital Millennium Copyright Act. File sharing networks and technologies. Global dimensions of intellectual property law. And then moving on to Chapter 15, which is about agency law. An agency is a fiduciary relationship between 2 persons in which one acts on behalf of and is the subject to control of the other. Types of agency relationships are principal-agent, employer-employee, and employer-independent contractor. An employer-employee relationship is the agent who works for pay and is subject to the control of the principal may enter into contractual relationships on the latter's behalf. An employer-independent contractor relationship, an agent who is the independent contractor is hired by the principal to do a specific job but is not controlled with respect to physical conduct and details of work performance. The principal is not required to make payments towards Social Security and workers' compensation pools. The creation of an agency relationship is an expressed agency, implied authority, ratification of the agent's previous acts by the principal, and a parent agency. Expressed agency is formed through an oral or written agreement. Agency by implied authority is an agent's authority is determined by customs and circumstances rather than a detailed formal agreement. Agency through ratification occurs when a person misrepresents himself or herself as an agent and the principal accepts the unauthorized act. And conditions for a ratification to be effective: a principal must have a full knowledge of the agent's action, and existence of the principal must be clear to the third party at the time of the agent's unauthorized acts. Let's talk about duties of principals and agents, like duty of cooperation, which is a principal's duty to agent, or duty of performance, which is the agent's duty to principal. We talk about principals and agents' liability to third parties, contractual liability, tort liability, criminal liability, liability of undisclosed principal, which an undisclosed principal is one whose identity and existence are unknown to the third party. Talk about termination of the principal-agent relationship, termination by agreement, termination by operation law. Talk about agency law in Japan and the European Union, and then in the global dimensions. Talk about the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, which it strictly prohibits payments to foreign political officials beyond a certain level, and it stipulates that companies ensure that its employees and hired foreign agents do not violate any of the provisions of the act. That's pretty much it.